Trick-or-treating is a traditional Halloween custom for children and adults in some countries. Children in costumes travel from house to house asking for treats with the phrase trick-or-treat. The treat is usually some form of candy, although in some cultures money is given instead. The trick refers to a threat, usually idle, to perform mischief on the homeowners or their property if no treat is given. A jack-o'-lantern or jack-o'-lantern is a carved pumpkin, turnip, or other root vegetable lantern associated with Halloween. Its name comes from the phenomenon of a strange light flickering over peat bogs called will-o'-the-wisp, a jack-o'-lantern. The name is also tied to the Irish legend of Sticky Jack, a drunkard who bargained with Satan and is doomed to roam the earth with only a hollow turnip to light his way. Okay, Penny, welcome back. We are now in segment 2, talking about the dangerous roots of Halloween. This time we will be talking about paganism and Halloween. We also had an opening clip for you that tells you a read about what, just from the history.com channel, that talked about what Halloween is and where the roots coming from. So that's already been available to you. And also have that's in segment 1 as well. So in segment 1, we talked about Christianity and Halloween. And now we're going to be talking about the beginning portions of that. What is trick or treat? What is a jack-o'-lantern? What are the histories? What is it tied into? And all the ins and outs of the pagan roots that fall into Halloween. And really think about, could Christianity really have any part in such an evil day? So we're going to be talking about that. Now, my first question to Penny, as she's coming back on the show. Thank you, Penny, for coming back for segment 2.
You're welcome. Hello.
This is what we're going to be talking about today. So my first question is, do you think Christians know about the pagan roots of Halloween?
Well, I didn't. So I think a lot of people are just unaware of that. But God pulled me right out of Babylon itself. You know, I was practicing all kinds of pagan things, but believing that I was a Christian.
Now, I would say the same thing. I had no idea. I mean, growing up, for some reason, I always had a yucky feeling on that day. It was dark, and there was jack-o'-lanterns that were lit on the porches, and some that just houses were completely dark. They weren't going to have anything to do with it. Or there was candy just sitting out in a bowl in front of somebody's house. You know, why are people doing these kind of things? Why do they feel like they have to put candy out there for the kids, even if they're not celebrating, or they're going to be having their porch light off? Are they tied into believing in the rituals that come along with it, you know, the ceremonies and different things that come along with it? Or is it their way of just kind of appeasing mankind? I'm not really sure. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that, because for each person, maybe it's something a little bit different. The reason that they either do not celebrate it, or they put candy out, or they're giving out treats and candy during Halloween, and they're part of the whole dark holiday. Okay, my second question to you is, what is the meaning of trick or treat, and what does the jack-o'-lantern represent? Now, I did talk about that already in the opening segment before we started talking. So what we're going to do is, since we already opened up and we talked a little about trick or treat from Wikipedia.com, and we talked about what a jack-o'-lantern is, we're going to let Carol Matriciana tell you a little bit about the history of the jack-o'-lantern and trick or treat, and she's going to take it from here. So here goes Carol.
Well, in the 18th century, Pope Gregory III of the Roman Catholic Church wanted to integrate the pagan festivities of Samhain into the church, in fact, encouraging pagans to come to the Roman Catholic Church. And so it got this idea that somehow Halloween became Christianized. But remember that Samhain, the 31st of October, was the time when, according to the Celts, their Druid priests would go from house to house collecting sacrifices for their gods, for the deities of nature, with the understanding that October the 31st was the time when the veils were thinnest between the living world and the other world. So this was understood to be a time when the Druid priests could actually connect with the supernatural, call on them for very heavy-duty divination, fortune-telling, reading, through the entrails of human beings at one point. Of course, it's now been cleaned up, cleansed, and that isn't done any longer. And divination is just dunking for apples or peeling an apple and seeing how long the peel can be and throwing it over your shoulder. But all of these are connected in the ideas of fortune telling and divination, the idea of contacting the spirits that were divine that could give us messages.
Hey, thank you, Carol. That was so great. I'm so sad that she's no longer with us, but she sure dedicated herself to talking about dark deception and even things that look good that are Christianized that are actually deceptive. So thank you, Carol, for doing this and putting your life on the line for all of us. We surely appreciate your life and your dedication to the truth.
Yes.
Now, Penny, coming back from there, I wanted to ask you, do you see Halloween as a holiday or a ceremony?
Well, when I celebrated Halloween, I just saw it as a fun party day. All my life from little on, it was just all about the fun, fun, fun. Now I do see it as a ceremony and a holiday. I wanted to show you and make a correlation. There's so many Christians that I meet that do not believe witchcraft is real. And I wanted to show this page, and I apologize for the scary pictures on this page. This is directly from the Church of Satan, okay? This is a gentleman called A.W. Storn Anderson. He is a member of the Church of Satan, and he considers himself to be a warlock. He is married to his wife, Renee, who's also a member of the Church of Satan, who is a witch. So this shows right here, witchcraft is alive and well in today's world. It's not a fantasy thing like so many people want to write it off to be. Renee considers herself to be the queen of Halloween, as A.W. Storm Anderson considers himself to be the king of Halloween. They love Halloween so much that he actually wrote a book called The 365 Days of Halloween. I take this off of his biography, which he says he is a dark artist, an extreme Halloween enthusiast, a horror fan, a warlock, a vampire, and he puts together every year the Halloween in summer festival with his wife. So this shows how much these people love Halloween. And if you look up to the left-hand side of the Church of Satan, you will see the pentagram on there. And a lot of parents, without the face in it, they just think it's a star, and it's not a star. It's used in witchcraft. You'll find this a lot around a lot of stage bands of heavy metal players and rock stars. I mean, when you really start looking around, it's in a lot of places. They make jewelry like this. So you really want to be aware because that is satanic. They celebrate April 30th, which is the spring climax, and October 31st, which they call the fall climax. So that is Halloween. And I wanted to just show that they do celebrate Halloween. And, that's why I don't understand. Why would any born-again believer want to be doing the same thing that the Church of Satan is doing? It just doesn't make any sense. And you could be opening a door here if you make light of Halloween. Do you really want your little child someday to end up in this church? I think we really need to seek wisdom about Halloween. Christians do.
I think it really starts off in the shows and the movies and the cartoons that are out there that kids are watching all the time. So they're throwing crystals or casting spells. They all have superpowers. There's little programs where they're twitching their nose, and all these cutesy little things. And that's how the enemy uses he's really transforming their minds by, it's really mind control. where they say all
Yes.
these things are glorified, all these things are great, all these things are wonderful, and all of a sudden you see it on the playgrounds when the kids are playing. It's amazing to me how many crystals and spells and zombies and all these different dark things that are out there right now that kids just can't get enough of.
That's right.
Hmm.
And let's look at 1 Corinthians 10:21. It says, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the Lord's table and the table of demons. So I think that's pretty cut and dry right there.
Yeah, yes. And his warnings are through the Bible in the Old and New Testament alike. They are the same yesterday, today, and always. That is who Jesus is. He is the same, right?
Yes.
Yesterday, today, and forever. Yeah.
That's right. And then we also have Anton LaVey, who started the whole Church of Satan, who says, I'm glad that Christian parents let their children worship the devil at least one night a year. And he's talking about Halloween. So to me, wow, that's some scary stuff. There's evidence right there. There is a connection to witchcraft, which is real, and to the satanic church.
So we're looking at not only paganism, but we're talking about ultimate paganism, which is satanic rituals and ceremonies. It is so dark, and many people have not done their research. They have not looked back at the history. Even if you haven't, and you just stop and stand back and watch, things are happening at night. You're asking yourself questions like, why are parents letting their kids dress up like these murderers? They're going to these evil programs and they're watching people being slaughtered by satanic people, that are in these movies. And they say it's just clean, fun for one night. We're just going to put on these evil movies. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it does. Freddy Krueger, if you know, is a child molester, and he's killing people and burning people and all these different things. How is Chucky, this little doll that's walking around killing people with a knife and all this stuff? I know children from my years of teaching that would tell me, I had twins, I remember, that both watched Chucky on Halloween because the mom said they wanted to, so she let them. One of them said, oh, it's not real. The other one, you couldn't even say Chuck E. Cheese around because she was so terrified. So that mom just opened up a demonic world of fear and scary that actually is quite real. Which is sad. Instead of protecting your children from the evil, I mean, there's only so much time and so many ways in their innocence and their youth. You can talk about how these things exist, but not to open doors to them.
Right? A lot of Christians that I talk to, they don't even believe demons are real. And demons are real. I have come face to face with them numerous times, unfortunately, because of my involvement in the occult world. And that's why I have repented and I have made a clean break. I don't want to open up the door. I had to go and tell my children I was wrong in these practices and repent, and I don't do that anymore. I've walked away from it completely, and I never want to go back. I don't want to be an Orpah.
Thank God that you
that
did.
Is so sad.
God saved us from much, so much. And so that's another reason we do what we do, because so much has been done for us to be able to pull us out of the darkness and show us the true light. Because some of these things look like they're illuminating lights, enlightenment, all these different things, but you're tapping into, again, a universal force. You need to be really careful that you're worshiping, and when you're saying you're religious instead of just a sinner saved by grace, when you're saying Christian, you're following after Christ is what you're doing. So that's the difference. And make sure that the world isn't in your church, that they're actually going out into the culture and bringing the truth instead of bringing everything that's an abomination to the Lord in the church. Yes, we come in broken. Yes, we come in as a work in progress. Yes, that's definite. But we don't deliberately bring in the world to bring in the world. Yeah.
No.
There you go. That should be a separate thing. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the evil that we see in ceremonies and holidays and those kind of things in the paganism. We'll close with this one. Is it okay to dress up like the characters from Star Wars? If so, why? Now, this is something that a lot of people are going to be like, I love Star Wars. What's wrong with Star Wars? It's make-believe. It's not real. Well, you better go back and look at the author. What was his intention for putting these movies out? He was seeped in the universal force. Some people call part of the universal force God, that he's some kind of active force.
I did.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Some people are
That's
taught
why.
that.
Yes, that's why I love Star Wars. When I was little, I could totally relate to the Force because I had that same impersonal God, which was a universal life force.
Mm.
And so it's pantheism is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I used to be the Star Wars person also, so I get it.
You know, the force that they're talking to you about, as well as all these different forces where they believe that Jesus is just one of them, one of many forces that are out there. So they're saying that God is the universe, that he doesn't reign over his creation. He is his creation. So he's in the earth, he's in the rocks, he's in you and me. So therefore, we are little gods ourselves. That's dangerous. We are sinners saved by grace. God reigns over his creation.
Yes. And if you
Yes.
put that, you're a person, some of these kids with Star Wars, it's almost like an idol to them. They just love it so much. And then as they go on into high school and college and get the philosophy of the same thing of pantheism that's so driven home in the public school system, the danger is that they could go for that false Jesus of unity and oneness and pantheism, which is a false Christ.
Right. We're all interconnected. We are all part of the earth. We are all part of the wind. We are part of the story of the birds and everything else. So you do arrive at this weird oneness. I was there when I was doing automatic writing and tapping into all these different things, thinking I was so connected to God. I was so enlightened, and so many people needed to understand the truths that I knew to arrive at their oneness as well. So scary. And when it's
It
God's
really
telling,
is.
yes, it is so alluring, because that's what the demon, that's really what Satan is. Lucifer, what is he? The angel, the false angel of light. So he's going to lure you in by great deceptions and feed your ego. So be very careful with that. I have a quote here by the pantheistic.com. So they're pantheist, and they're telling you Star Wars, what Star Wars is. The force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. I said, if that's coming straight from pantheism, it's telling you what Star Wars is. The saddest thing is, if you go in, what we're going to be doing next is going into a clip by Yoda himself. He's going to be describing to you what that universal force is, and you are going to be shocked. The author of this series of movies is teaching children the universal force that he became connected with, that he wanted other children and mankind to know about. So here is Yoda himself talking about this force, this active universal force. Here we go.
You should not. For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and the ship.
Okay, Penny, shocking, right? So shocking, coming out of Yoda's mouth himself, talking about this force. And if you only knew what you can tap into in your inner divinity, you would be able to raise things out of water, no matter if they're small or large. You would be able to do all things, because ultimately you're arriving at your inner God.
That's right. And that's just what I came out of,
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it feels so good to think you're Wonder Woman and Superman, and you're a fairy, and you're you have all these powers, and you are this and you are that, and it's this me-centered, me, I have arrived kind of stuff. No, die to yourself is what the Bible says, and look up as your redemption draws near. Next time,
Yay!
Penny. Yes, I know. Next time, Penny, we will be talking again a little bit more about witchcraft and Halloween. We're going to be visiting some things that children are really getting into these days, and they think it's all wonderful, cutesy, and that there's no harm in it, but absolutely there is harm in it. And so then until next time, I pray everything that you're seeing on this Light of Deception, the dangerous roots of Halloween, will help you stay away from these dark days. Until next time,
Yes.
bye, Penny.
Bye.